There they go into the back. The blue light on. We have a race, and Satnova's beaten Pure Steel out by a length and a half.
Welcome to Talking Trots, hosted by Mortz and Michael Radley on Tab Radio, Racing and Sport.
The sensational Sydney sider, Seals to Sam, comes off the back straight. He's a bucket load of alliteration, this fellow.
Scott Bomber Hill will join the boys to look at the Friday night meeting at Gloucester Park, and Hayden King will find the winners for the weekend's racing.
Here comes Quinny. I'm the mighty Queen, is 4 deep and letting go.
Sit back and enjoy Talking Trots with Mortz and Michael Radley.
I'm the mighty Queen is just in front. Dasher VC can do no more, and the West Australian champion has done it again.
Hello and welcome to Talking Trots for another week. I feel like the West Coast Eagles. We're dropping like flies here. We've got no Michael Radley, no Glen Mortimer, and no Scott Bomber Hill either, but we've got a very worthy substitute in Glen Moore. Hayden King back with you this week, and we've got a perplexing 11 race program tomorrow there, Glen. Really looking forward to that.
Yeah, 11 races, marathon program. We've got the west side races for 2-year-old colts and 2-year-old fillies, so that'll be interesting. Tomorrow morning we've got Peter Anderson coming on the preview. He might be able to clarify what his pecking order is for his conveyances tomorrow night. And we've got a very special guest here tonight in Gary Hall Jnr.
Yeah, hopefully he can enlighten us on many of the races, because he's got some key chances, as he invariably does every Friday night heading into Gloucester Park, and gives us a chance to reflect on the week that was. We had that brilliant standing start contest last week, taken out by Arden's Horizon, who was very tactically driven by Callan Savalco to get over the top of Magnificent Storm. And since then, we've had a bunch of good country racing as well. That program was supplemented by Northam on Friday, then Narrogin Saturday, and even Monday, Tuesday, Pinjarra and Gloucester Park. We've had some competitive racing. Yeah,
look, that was a great race, the standing start last week, the 60-metre handicap. Not many people thought Magnificent Storm could make that handicap up. He didn't, as it turned out, but he went very good on his way to Queensland on Monday, I believe. So wish them the best of luck with him. And that hit out would have got him fit enough for that trip over there. I'm sure that would hold him in good stead to have that hit out before he goes, because he probably need a couple of days off with the trip and all that. So quite an extensive trip. I don't think we've heard yet whether he's in Queensland yet.
He is, yeah. I saw a video of him getting off the plane there, and he looked in rude health. He was looking really good, so handled the trip A-OK from my eye.
So he obviously got to Sydney, did he, in a plane trip to Brisbane? Was it that way? Do you know? Or not?
I'm not too sure.
No, it'd be interesting to know how they got there, because quite often you have to road from Sydney up to Brisbane. So, or maybe he flew into Melbourne or Sydney and then took the road trip. I don't know, but it'd be interesting to find out whether he got all the way there by air flights.
Doesn't matter. He's there now, and he goes in good form as well, emphasised by that performance last Friday night. The sectionals he ran, although in defeat, were stupefying, to be frank, and it was one of the finest performances we've seen at Gloucester Park in some time. Now, our guest had a good night on Friday at Gloucester Park, had a few winners there. One of those winners was Watching Our Coin, who goes around tomorrow night. Before we get to Gary, though, we'll go back a week when Watching Our Coin was able to lead and win.
Deeper on the track, trying hard as Eaton Rock. An inside run for Feeling Aces, but Watching Our Coin bolted away from Beat the Bank, Feeling Aces, and then came Rebline coming through as well. But it's all Watching Our Coin. Beat the Bank, Rebline will fight out second and third, and then Feeling Aces. But Watching Our Coin raced away to win easily. Watching Our Coin.
He dominated from the front as soon as he got there. It looked pretty much game over, and he returned to some of his better form in the last couple of runs. Watching Our Coin, as we welcome you in, Gary. He's a horse who continues to get better, and the best thing about him is he can win that race a couple more times.
Yeah, good morning, guys. Well, afternoon. He's, always get that one wrong on this show, but he won well the other night, and yeah, he's a funny horse. He probably lacks a real fast quarter, but he can run a fair few really good ones in a row, so it'll hold him in good stead moving forward, especially around places like Gloucester Park. It was a good win. He went to the line with a little bit less, so he's in really good form, and which is good because Michael obviously had that virus go through his stable where a lot of them did drop away there for a while, but looks like they're starting to get back on the right track again now.
Yeah, look, Junior, obviously you're feeding up and doing the multitasking there, which is very good. The race 1 tomorrow night, you're driving Sporting Grace. Now, Sporting Grace's last run was a little bit down on form. He's trialled well since. But the night he did run down the track, they ran a 40.7 lead time. Clearly that was the reason for that performance, I would have thought. How do you think tomorrow night, drawn 5, you'll drive him?
Yeah, I think I would say we have to press forward from there. 5's one of those scores you go back, you end up, we're going to probably end up near a last. So, gets out of the gate good and press forward. But, the last start, Michael was a bit worried that, she might have been affected by that illness that went through his barn, and clearly was. She sort of come back into tomorrow. She sort of, didn't really handle the run at all and seemed a little bit distressed. But trial was very good, back to what I'd expect from her normally. And I think it's a pretty even sort of a field. So I would say press forward and try and keep an advantage on a couple of the better ones off the back line, and see what we can do from there.
Yeah, looking inside, there's a bit of pace there, isn't there? So when you try and look at Seagrass, out Sandy Shore's got gate speed, out Lily Lou, you'd imagine they'll be seeking forward positions. So I guess it's a matter of just trying to find a slot there, unless you can beat them out, of course. But just the fact you went so hard last start, opening up the horse, I know you're talking about the virus and all that, but do you think that the 40.7 was a very significant factor, or you just felt the horse went way under?
I think that she was, based on what we'd seen from her before, that it was still going to be a concern, that lead time, as you say. So, but she just felt from the moment she got there that I had an empty tank from the start, which I wasn't at all surprised to see her get beat that day. But I think the way she completely stopped and got beaten so far was probably more so to the sickness. She always gave me the feel that she had quite a good deal of depth about her, so she wouldn't really, even when she did get tired, she wouldn't stop that badly. But I guess that lead time coupled up with the fact that she did have something wrong with her and ended in that result. So, but we'll come out speed inside. If we can get into a hole early, we will. Otherwise, I'll just stay out there and park up until they sort themselves out, and then probably work forward, I would say. Unless Michael's got a different idea, which he quite often does to me.
Yeah, interesting too. Race 2's a similar dilemma, isn't it? Watching our coin with Hoppy's Way inside your rock on top, Eaton Rock probably looking to lead. That's another race that, even though you've got good gate speed, Hoppy's Way clearly won inside you, depending on where Hoppy's Way's at, be significant too. I mean, clearly you always drive Watch Our Coin with aggression, and the breeze is not really a major concern for the horse. Just depends on what happens underneath you, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, and you got Rock on top there, who, he's pretty good out as well.
Yep.
And to probably a lesser extent, a horse like Eaton Rock. So I imagine they'd one of those three, if not all, or at least two, you'd get past a horse like the Watchmaker drawn the inside. So
yep.
I think Hoppy's Way certainly will get past those horses on his inside. Whether or not Rock on Top goes with him and wants to hold that spot, I'm not too sure. Maybe with me in the race, he might be happy to sit on the back of Hoppy's Way and let me sort of try and worry him out of it and have the last shot at it. That's the way I probably read it on paper. But as you say, I'm happy to be outside, and this horse, I think, races just as well in the breeze as he does in front. He likes having one just there to sort of keep him honest. So the way he's going, he's got to be a winning chance, I would have thought. And, Hoppy's Way, it's hard to really draw a line on where he could be at. So if he's at his very best, he'll be hard to run down if he does find the rail. But you always like to take the race fit, in-form horse over something. Had that one run and spelled and then come back.
So if you had Eaton Rock working to the front past the Watchmaker early, that's a horse has been going well in front in the past, and you have driven and succeeded with from the front. Do you think it would relinquish the top?
Well, possibly not, but I think whatever happens, as long as I don't, commit too hard early, I can just sit there and let that sort of stuff unfold. I think no matter what the configuration is with those three, being lead or breeze, that I still should be able to get to the breeze without too much hassle after that. So I just wait out wide without burning petrol, or trying to save as much as I can, and just more so worry about holding the horses outside of me, and then working forward and taking the spot after the early burn.
Yeah, that sounds like the logic, Junior, and good fellas. Obviously, if they go too hard, could be the danger late, but I'm reading it pretty much the same way as you are. Race 3, you've got Mr. Fantastic. The trial was very good. How good a feel did it give you? And a horse that you've driven, drawn one, Madison Brown, driving the one horse, looks the possible leader here. How did you view the trial and the feel of the horse compared to, say, its best form?
Yeah, very good. He's a funny horse. I think with him it's quite easy to tell where he's at by the way he feels, and it's not necessarily, time related. It's just he's a really big feel horse, and he felt terrific in the trial. Said to Justin when he came in, he felt as good as he ever has to me. Michael disagreed with me a little bit when I jumped off his horse about the trial of Fantastic. He said, the times weren't that great, but like I said, he felt terrific to me, and that's good enough. I thought there was some chance he could get across them early. He's got really good gate speed, and the better he feels and the better he's going, the faster he comes out. So if he's going as good as I think he felt in the trial, I'll give him a pretty good chance of actually getting across at the start. If he doesn't, and watching our coin is able to boot up and lead, well,
Moonlight Drive.
Moonlight Drive. I think he then becomes the horse to beat. He's racing quite well, but still give us a chance of being able to beat him somehow. But obviously, I'd be more intent on trying to get across early.
What about if Alterette was able to get across and lead? You've driven this horse before over the extended trip. Do you think if you could get on top of that horse early, then it would relinquish the frontier?
Yeah, maybe, but I thought that last time. I think I might have even been on this show, and I said that I'd be getting across and then sitting, or maybe I'd drawn one. I thought I'd be sitting because it was 2,500, but got there on the night and Sarah wanted to lead, so she thought he was racing well and she wanted to give him his chance. I think that night he ended up running third, I think. So he did end up sort of folding up a bit late, but
sorry, you're right. It was fourth.
Yeah, it'd purely be on how they saw it and how they thought. But he was the one I did see as potentially getting across first, and I just thought maybe over the trip they'd be happy to sit on a horse like Mr. Fantastic, knowing they're going to get the good run. But like I said, I did drive Alterette, and I did think they'd want to sit, and I was instructed to hold up, which is their right, and he still ran probably as good a race as he could that night over the 25, I think it was as well.
Hillview Bondi may press on, of course, too. Once they're balanced up, it would like probably to be outside the leader, perhaps. So it depends where you are, of course, as to what happens there. But if you were in the breeze and it came early enough, would you consider sitting on it or press on?
Yeah, I'd be happy to sit, but it all depends on what stage and what I've done early. If I've done a little bit because I've got 3/4 there and didn't quite get across and things like that, then first up probably be happy to sit. But I'd if he comes a bit too late, I'm only going to have to try and pull out and go around him again.
Yeah, that's right.
Then it becomes problematic.
Shani Girl flying. The awkward draw though, 10's probably the last draw you wanted in a horse you've been driving outside your Blaze Coops. Looks the logical danger.
Yeah, she's been going really well, obviously. She surprised me a little bit last start. I probably put a little bit... I probably didn't read the play well enough with the leader. I thought it was travelling a bit better than it was and put it away a little bit too early and then left herself exposed. And that was all her inside the last lap. To her credit, she kicked on strongly and she was probably on empty turning for home and had to really dig on all reserves when Hayden thought come at her, and did a really big job to get up off the canvas and win. So as you say, though, barrier 10 is the last thing we wanted to see. But she's not out of it. Might just help get a better price, I suppose. But you do have to take on trust a little bit from that draw.
The one horse, you got the one horse outstar billing the leader initially, anyway.
Yeah, well, I was hoping so. And the further I got through the field, I just thought, well, if I was driving it, I'd sort of be going through the field. Even if I wanted to sit, it's a hard race to pick who to sit on. With those horses drawn off the front. She's a Bromax pretty quick. I guess it would push hard early, I thought.
Yep. The trick there is Blaze Coops following it. And if Blaze Coops get through, it might peel around 3 deep and eventually get the lead.
Yeah, that'd be a problem for us, obviously. She's racing really well too, Blaze Coops, and I think from what I've seen when I've been driving her, I think she's better suited to with a sit. Obviously, they'd want to get to the front here if they could, just with the layout of the race. But I think from a sit, she's probably even more dangerous if she's settled, which she has been lately.
I don't think Miss Tiano or especially Miss Lamar would let that happen. I think they'd be pretty anxious to get forward, Miss Lamar in particular, to make sure that Blaze Coops didn't get through. So that might isolate the potential for Blaze Coops to actually work through the pack early, which would help your cause, I guess, in a sense, because it would make it easier for you if Blaze Coops wasn't in front. But then again, you might be shuffled to 3 back regardless if one of the others pressed on.
Yeah, if she has to push through hard, though, and it's never an easy thing to do, to push through from the back line and then, work your way to the top and then hold out a horse of the quality of Shani Girl. So anything, if that does happen, or if that's what they try to do with her, that's only going to generate pace early, which is going to, work in my favour as well later in the race. So, as I said, it's not an ideal draw, but I definitely wouldn't be swapping drives with anyone.
Sippy's Delight, a horse that's had 3 stands, I think, in a row, just hasn't been able to get away probably quick enough, and circumstances probably haven't suited Sippy's. This race looks a good race for her, albeit Cowboys and Bandits drawn the 2. Having said that, Cowboys and Bandits got a little bit to prove at this stage of its prep.
Yeah, she's not one of mine. Sippy's, I don't know.
I don't think she's one of Michael's either.
No, well, I don't think I really get along with her all that well. Like the stands, I felt like she's got it. Like there's no reason why she shouldn't have got away better at times, and I just haven't got off on the right leg with her at all this time back in. So, I know Michael thinks she's going all right, but he hasn't had much, by the way of nice things to say about her either. So, it's a tough race for her, I think, really. She has got good gate speed, but, whether that's enough or not to get across to the rail, but I think that'll be the plan, to try and get, even if it's not in front, to try and get to the rail at some stage with her speed out the gate and try and give her a soft run and as possible, and see if we can get her working through the line, because we haven't had that for a while.
Could be a bit of heat there too. Cavalry Call may elect to lead.
Yeah,
Cowboys and Bandits is odds on, of course, but I wouldn't be surprised if Kyle looks at this race and thinks he can maybe dictate. So that's a factor for the favourite at $1.75, and make it happen. Of course, can press forward as well.
Yeah, what are you made of that, or the favourite though? Really?
Well, it's only raced against very weak company. That's why I indicated to you that I think it's got a bit to prove. Hasn't raced much this prep. Basically, it's always looked like a horse that's got promise, but getting up class a little bit from its first few runs, it's a test, particularly the odds on.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and also Cavalry Call, the stablemate's immediately on its back, so there may be that extra incentive to try to hold up, and it's only a less than $12,000 race. It's worth $9,000, so it's essentially a Tuesday race on a Friday, so he's not racing too far out of his grade.
No. Cowboys and Bandits might go good from a sit as well, rather than attempting to lead and not getting there.
If the pressure comes from Make It Happen or Alcipi's Delight, then maybe Cowboys and Bandits can use that to get to the front and put the
Possibly
pepper on.
I wouldn't like to see him doing too much work.
No. Race number 8, Finvara. You knocked off a trial there yesterday at Pinjarra. Looked like he did that fairly comfortably.
Yeah, he did. He probably went a bit quicker than I intended, but the track was in good order and wasn't much wind around or anything like that. So he got the ODM ticked off, or one of them anyway, and he tried quite well. Yeah, he went to the line plenty in reserve. So yeah, he had an easy day today, and should be cherry right really for tomorrow night.
Yeah, Junior, Decla Diva looks a horse with the barrier draw that's a chance to win that West Side 2-year-old fillies race. Now, the other night, you pulled out and loomed on the corner and the horse hung in a few times. Had you been able to drive it out, I think you may have gone close, which is sort of indicating there's a bit of improvement there. What's your thoughts there?
Yeah, I think David shares the same view as well. I had a little bit of trouble with her the other night on that bend, and more so in the straight. It was mainly because I had the horse pushing up inside us that was actually travelling pretty well as well. So I had to, if it wasn't there, I would have been able to let her just hang down that little bit and wait to the straight and then try and drive her out. But because it was there, I had to just keep getting her off it a little bit, and she's obviously very green too and doesn't know really what's going on out there. But definite improvement on the first time I drove her. So if she can improve again off that, and I said to David even after the first time I drove her, she just feels like a horse that needs to have her chance up there on the pace somewhere. And obviously that day's come now with her drawing this barrier. She gets out good enough, I think, to be able to hold that front position and see what she's got.
Exactly. The Mustang in the last. The logic there, I guess, is sit behind the Codebreaker.
Yeah, I would think so. Unless Michael's got different ideas, which I'd have to. We'll find out on the night with the Braid Ring interviews. But I would be thinking just jump in behind the Codebreaker and take it from there. I think his future is, being driven as a bit of a sniper and taking the luck when it comes and waiting for another week when it doesn't. Unless he obviously draws where he's just going to get straight to the top and can run his own race. But I think moving forward he's got to be driven as a bit of a sniper, because we've seen the problems that we have with him when we launch him and don't get across. So
yep.
I think that's just the way he's going to have to be driven from now on.
What do you think's the best tomorrow night?
I'd say a Shani girl.
Yep.
Even from the draw, I think she's my best drive. Probably her and Mr. Fantastic, but with a slight leaning towards her. I don't know what prices they are. What price is she?
Oh, they haven't got the markets yet.
220. Yeah, Tab Touch.
Oh, sorry, they've got that market.
220 is Shani, and I don't think Fantastic's up yet.
No.
Yeah, I would have thought 220 is pretty good about her. I think she's in pretty good form, and there's no reason why she shouldn't be able to hold that form. So happy to take that.
Junior, just going back to the Pacing Cup now, 10th of November, and we've got the JP Stratton 13th of October $100,000 race, and the Pacing Cup the 10th of November. So the target for a lot of free-for-alls will be the 13th of October. The free-for-allers that you've got, Diego particularly and Jumping Jack Mac, what stage are they at? And do you think they'll be ready for the 13th of October $100,000 JP Stratton?
They'll be ready. Jack and Diego, they both come back into work at the start of this month. So, they've had 3 or 4 weeks into their work now. And, they both look really good, actually. And I think Diego was a big surprise for his last prep or his last prep and a half with what he's been able to do. And I'm hoping that this time round that Jumping Jack Matt will be the one that really comes to the fore and matures into a really genuine free-for-all horse, because what he done last time in, and the improvement he showed, I think, and just I think he just needed that, that toughness under his belt, racing those good horses all the time, and having runs where things didn't go his way, but still having to try and find the line. So, yeah, I think he showed in the Nullarbor that he's on the right track to becoming, one of those just really nice free-for-all horses, which he probably, some people would say he already was, but I think he just needed to toughen up a little bit and, not be so much of maybe a one-trick sort of pony. But I think we got that out of him in the end, and as I said, I hope in this time back in that he'll mature a bit more and strengthen up a bit more and go to that next level again.
Free-for-allers, Vampiro and Minstrel were nominated this week, so they're probably a week or so away. So the numbers will build in the next few weeks. Obviously, the numbers have been down because change of the season, but a lot of these trainers would have had a look at the program and seen Stratton 13th of October anyway. Last year in the Stratton, it was about a week or two later, we had a full field including Magnificent Storm, Laverajo, Jumpy Jack Mac, Minstrel. They were all in the Stratton last year. So that, they would have been aiming that way anyway. So we should see the numbers swell in the next few weeks. The 3-year-olds, Mr. Smarty, etc., they all went out for a break?
Yeah, they all went out. Star Lavra, Mr. Smarty, Franco Mecca, and he's never been better. He's never been better, actually got gelded as well. So
yep.
I don't think he got to a point where he was fine when he first got here, but he got to a point where I don't think he was doing his best out there or really concentrating on the job at hand. So that cost him a couple of stone, and he's still at the vet now. So he's probably in recovery. But yeah, the other guys are, they did a big job. Mr. Smarty, he had somewhat of a rush prep, not because he had to get ready for anything, but just because we wanted to get a bit out of him, see what he had, and then have time to obviously give him a brace again before we had to bring him back, get him ready for races like Derby and that later on in the year. But pretty happy with what we saw with him. But yeah, just the free falls. I think every year they drop away around the winter time, and but this year we were lucky enough to have Storm and Shockwave still racing, and I don't know. I just like watching good horses race, so I don't care if it's a 3-horse field. I think they deserve their spot on a Friday night, and I know there's a lot of complaints about having those sort of races in small fields, but if you're a harness racing fan, they're the horses you want to watch. So
definitely.
Fortunate.
That small, who cares? We get to see Shockwave race, or Storm race. That's the way I see it.
100%.
Fortunately, this isn't a decision you have to make anytime soon, but how do you weigh up Mr. Smarty against Never Ending at the moment?
Yeah, it's a good one. I don't know. Obviously, at this stage, I'd be sort of obviously on the Never Ending corner. Just with what he's done, and that last swim was unreal. Smarty's still got to do it from back in the field and things like that, and he's got a few more fine tuning issues at this stage, I think. But it's a good position to be in, but it's a real tough one at the same time. Hoping to keep them separated for as long as I possibly can, to be honest, because it's not a decision I really want to have to make.
Do an Hayden DeCampo, Magnificent Storm and Shockwave trick.
Yeah, I'll do my best to talk Justin into taking his way, and if he doesn't, we might have to put Smarty on a plane.
Yeah. The Never Ending, is it in full work and ready to go again, or out for a break?
Yeah, not sure, to be honest, Glen. I didn't ask the other day. But I would assume he's
freshen up,
having a freshen up, because he's got.
I think he's in the paddock.
The Derby's 3rd of November, so there's a fair bit of time.
Yeah, there's plenty of time. And as we've seen with Justin before, he's, even if it wasn't a horse like Never Ending, he would have had that race earmarked for him a long time ago, and his preparation would have started a long time ago, heading towards a race like the Derby. So he's he's very good. I know that, and it's not a decision I'm looking forward to at all.
I think Mortz might have said something about him potentially being in the paddock. I might be wrong, but I think he might be still in
when
the
he
paddock.
won last start, he had a tough run, didn't he? So he would have been entitled to just a little break after winning. That was a feature race. So imagine they'd be all eyes on the Derby long term, and the Western Gateways prior to that as well, of course.
Yeah, just knowing how Justin prepares his too, I dare say win, lose or draw, he probably would have had him earmarked down to go out for a break if that's what he's doing now, as they're heading towards the Derby. So, I don't know. Like I said, I'll try and keep them separated for as long as I can.
Definitely.
Hey, we've had a text come through. This is Oscar from Oakford. Gary has made a fast start to this season. Can he break his record?
Yeah, good one, Oscar.
Do you know who it is?
Yeah, I think I know who it is.
Sounds like a false name, doesn't it?
Yeah, I don't think any parents are naming their kids Oscar nowadays.
Well, he might be a grouch. It might be a nickname.
He could be off. I think that's just in relation to the what do you call it? Just my overall tally at the end of the season. So, yeah.
Well, your record is 252. Have you got any goals of getting to that mark this season?
253 then.
Well, how do you go about it? How do you get there?
Well, I told someone the other day that I've got to just keep reminding myself to, go out there and show no mercy, I guess. Be ruthless. I cost myself a race the other night, I think, by not being aggressive enough or doing something that,
You mean shell patch?
Yeah, he should have won.
Should have won by 100 yards.
Yeah.
Stick the boots in.
I can't even argue with that. He really should have. It was just Nathan, had said that he was. When I come in, I just said sorry. He should have won. It wasn't a very good drive at all. And Nathan said, "No, don't worry about it. I told you that he, I didn't have him fully wound up being first up and that. So err on the side of caution." But I said, yeah, that's all well and good. But once I'm out there, I'm the driver and I'm supposed to make those decisions based on how I'm feeling at the time and how the horse is travelling. And yeah, he just would have won. So no two ways about it. But he struck the same race again on Tuesday, and he's drawn, I think, out wide 8 or 9. There's only 9 in it. So
straight to the fence.
I fully expect to lose the drive if I can't get him up on Tuesday.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you how you were feeling. You were feeling hungry. You had your mind on the works.
Yeah, well, that was all right. Lucky you were there to deliver it too.
That's all I'm good for.
Hard to get food on. One thing that people don't think about is us poor old trot drivers. We, often got to scrape the bottom of the barrel for dinner at night.
It's a very good menu at Gloucester Park. You know that.
Yeah, there is Actually, Danny had the buttered chicken on Tuesday. She reckons it was really good, so I'll have to give that a crack next time.
Beautiful.
All right, we'll wrap up. Thanks for coming on, Gary. Appreciate it.
No worries, guys.
Good on you. See you, mate.
See ya.
That's Gary Hall Jr. Very good with his time, and he killed 2 birds with 1 stone, got the work done while he was chatting to us, Glenn.
Certainly ambidextrous.
Yeah, well, he actually is ambidextrous because he is left-handed, but he... obviously carries his whip in his right hand and does a lot of things with his right hand.
Yeah, Chris Lewis was one that could use... Chris Lewis was one ambidextrous, can use both hands like that. You don't see it so much these days, though. But the way the rules are, of course, you can't do it. But in the old days, they'd cross reins and then go from one to the other. I don't see that happening much now, presumably because of the rule.
Sometimes you'll see Corey Peterson, who's left-handed. He'll switch his left and right hands. He'll switch.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, there's a bit of it, but not like it. It was quite significant. Some drivers with the whip in the left hand, particularly if horses were hanging down, you used to see it quite a bit. Not so much now.
Mm. I tell you what, I wouldn't mind having a reality TV series. Just follow around Gary and Michael Young on a Friday night, because I think people would watch that. There's a lot of bickering going on, and there's a lot of disagreements. Actually, I'm not too sure how much would be able to go to air.
You'd have to have the mute button on occasionally, I would have thought.
Well,
particularly straight after a race.
Doing a lot of bleeping.
Yep.
But
it's all good.
I think that could encourage viewers to harness racing.
Yeah, it might be another thought to get eyes on the sport. You're right.
All right. Is there anything else you want to touch on?
No, just basically a couple of bit of information from what's happened during the week. Number one thing is Patricia Swallow, who's been working as the executive assistant to Michael Radley and previously to Rob Bovell for some 30 years at Gloucester Park. She's made the decision to retire after 30 years of service. She's won a number of awards and she's been well respected by everybody in the industry. So I wish Patricia Swallow good luck into the future. I believe she's going on an overseas holiday, so good luck to Patricia and thank her very much for her service to the industry. Also, the court case against Gloucester Park in terms of the referendum votes and the development of Gloucester Park. Judge Kenneth J. Martin ruled, and there was no case to answer there, and said that there was no points made by the plaintiffs that were accepted by the judge, and all steam ahead for that. The judge also awarded costs against the plaintiffs, so there's a lot of, I think there's 4-day trial, so that's very, very expensive. So it made the point that they'll have to pay for Gloucester Park's expenses as well, and that hopefully means that Hesperia can get on with the job, because this sort of thing held it up, really. You can't do much while there's a legal challenge. That failed, so hopefully we see that progressing and all the things that are required, due diligence, the steps forward with that occur. That was one thing that's come up during the week. The other thing from the Owners Association viewpoint, which we've been keen to get going, and so have ROA, the split payments directly to individual owners is coming in from August. So if owners want to be directly paid, and takes the responsibility away from the manager to distribute those funds through each individual bank account, that'll be automatically done into August if the owners want to go that way, and I'm sure a lot of them will, to have those payments split up automatically by ROA and go direct to their bank accounts. And that'll save a lot of trainers an enormous amount of work as well, because sometimes the trainers are the managers, and to distribute that money and break it all up takes time. So that's a very positive, proactive thing that's happened during the week. So yeah, look, they're some of the things that have happened this week, along with some pretty exciting racing.
I think it is a great thing that we've got that split payments now for owners. I think it should have been implemented a long, long time ago for a few reasons. One, you touched on, often it's the trainers who are managing the syndicate. They've got enough on their plate without having to chase up paying all these owners and stuff their dividends. Then you've got the circumstance where you've got to worry about the owner actually holding on to the money if you don't know if they can...
it makes it a lot cleaner and efficient. Some syndicates may not take it up because they've got training expenses. They balance it all up, so they don't necessarily have to do it. So there'll be some that won't do it, but I think the majority of the managed ownership groups, that'll be a godsend to them. And to trainers as well.
And it's just more efficient. Like,
absolutely,
you'll get paid faster because then you don't have to worry about doing this third-person transaction. So that's a really good one.
It was on a different system from the Gallops. The Gallops have had the Australian thoroughbred system operating for a few years. Ours is a different system, so we had to wait to update through RISE, the harness racing system.
Yes, and one thing I was going to talk to you about, I've been thinking about this for the last month or two and raising it with the other boys, is the 1,200 metre races they've been having in Victoria, and I just thought we could talk about if they do have a place, because they have created a bit of conjecture over there on the eastern seaboard. Would they have a place here in WA?
Well, we've tried it at Bunbury in a spearing situation. The answer to that for mine is there's a lot of aspects to that, but one key aspect, Hayden, to it is if it works for turnover and it's good for the industry, it should be looked at. I think it's a sort of the once-off type thing that you'd have on particular times of the year. You just do it as a point of difference. If it starts working, you need to bring the trainers and owners along with that. If it starts working for the industry as a positive for turnover. If it doesn't, there's a lot of trainers probably don't like the idea of those short races rushing the horses out the gate 100 miles an hour. Horse welfare comes into it. It's a little bit different from the greyhounds. It's sort of a greyhound concept to have those quick races. They're all over quickly and the punters can bang, bang, bang into it and so on. That's where the concept sort of comes from. From a trainer's viewpoint, how it affects their horses, there's probably a little bit of negativity there, but I think it's probably worth a trial, which we've done at Bunbury. And in Queensland, they've got a thing going up there, hot rods, which seems to attract a bit of interest, a little bit of difference, maybe a new audience, which I'm all for if it can work. And if they assess that turnovers work for Queensland harness racing, sure, we should be looking at it.
Yeah, it is the rapidity of those races being churned out. If you could run these 1,200 metre races, maybe you have a card full of them, and then you have really short gaps, 15 minutes between races or something, it could be that rapid-fire product, and it is similar to the greyhounds, and they've experienced exponential turnover over recent years, particularly over COVID, because it's just the ease of punting on them and the fact that they're going around every minute or two.
And if you did it, you'd probably look at we've already got greyhound saddlecloths, you know, the red dog number 1 and the pink dog number 8 and so on. If you did it, you'd probably look at doing fields of 8 maybe and having just greyhound colours. So you attract that audience and they immediately respond to the colours of the greyhounds. You may want fields of 12, I don't know, but at the end of the day, I think in that situation, the speed of those races, 8's probably enough. So you've got to balance all that up with turnover, how it affects novelties, and the exponential side of the overall turnover, first force, etc. You've got to look at the whole thing. But, yeah, look, I think it's probably got a place to look at it and should be investigated.
I think those numbered saddlecloths can only be a good thing as well. I'm not sure if you watched the first at Narrogin last Saturday, but there was no commentary, so the Sky broadcaster tried to do it from the studio and he had no idea because he said, I can't see didn't know the stable colours, etc. Yeah, like obviously as harness enthusiasts we knew it was I'm Rock and Rod in front, but he had no idea. He couldn't tell by the driver's colours, so it would have assisted if he had those saddlecloths on the number. That's just...
And the corporate bookmakers did a study on it about greyhound colours on harness racing horses. It was overwhelming. Their studies showed it was far better turnover and wagering and a better understanding of the punter, and was attractive to the punter to use greyhound saddlecloths 1 to 8. That was a proper study because there was always conjecture as to which is the best way to go, and that study sort of proved that it was the way to go.
Yeah, that's an interesting concept, and it's just that association between the colour and the number you make in the connection in your mind. There was one other thing I was going to mention regarding those short races, the 1,200 metre races. It's just slipped my mind.
The front runners don't always win.
No, that is true.
We've watched a few of them in Melbourne and so on, and the heat out of the gate and the pressure quite often allows horses to actually, the leaders actually are put under pressure. So you look, it's a concept worth having a look at it. The trainers would probably need to be brought into the conversation though, because, you know, they don't want their horses hammered like that necessarily regularly, but for one-offs, I think it's probably got some merit.
And additionally, from a psychological level, our attention span as humans is pretty short. We are, particularly in the younger generations, looking for something that is rapid fire, and we want to enjoy something that is coming quickly, and we're just going bang, bang. We don't want to have gaps in our attention. I took a couple of friends to the Trots a month or so ago. We went across to the footy and we went to the Trots first, and they couldn't believe that I was so passionate about this industry that they just go around in circles for a few minutes straight. So it would encourage new people outside the industry, I think, to watch harness racing if it was quicker, because whilst we are really involved in the industry and we are happy to watch a race for that period of time, like a lot of people just aren't encouraged by that fact.
No, it's 100% right. Like clearly greyhounds, the casino type aspect of greyhound racing, the colours, the form that they don't necessarily have to do in terms of sitting in a pub and backing the pink dog or the black dog or the red dog. They just, quite often it's a casino type mentality. They're not worried about the form, but they invest, and then they invest again within 20 seconds, and then another 20 or 30 seconds later the next greyhound race comes up and they reinvest again. So the turnover is exponentially just rising all the time. It's not the scientific approach that we necessarily in the old days, and we're victims for it, subscribe to, but we need to look at the element. That's why these products that we're producing, like Twitter interviews, to help the punters, Australia-wide in particular, to get the information and prior to the race, parade ring interviews in particular, very important to turn over is driving it, because that last minute summary, like you've done the Gloucester Park on the track summary, and you refer to the interviews once you've balanced up in your mind what's happening, and you can relay that to the betting audience on Sky all around Australia. That last 1 or 2 minutes is when the majority of the punters bet up, and if they've got a bit of extra information, they're likely to up their bets. So that's what we've sort of seen, but that's just one element of it, that we need to look at all sorts of ways of providing information to make it easier for punters to have a bet and find the winner.
Yeah, and I think we need to look beyond ourselves with this new concept, because let's face it, as an industry, we're probably not that invested in 1200 metre racing as owners, trainers, drivers and professional punters, because I don't like short course racing as it is. 1700 metre racing would encourage me less to turn over money on than a 21 or a 2500 metre race. However, we need to look beyond the industry and encouraging new people and the wider audience into the industry, and I think that's what these shorter races do, and I think it would be foolish and remiss to discard it flippantly.
Yeah, and I think you're right. We just have to look at everything. RAWA are currently looking at, and this has come up at consultative group meetings with all the eligible bodies there, what they're currently looking at is at every distance, 1700, 21, 25, 29, standing starts, short trip stands, medium long trip stands, trotting races, what works best for the trotting races, where they work, where they don't work, which tracks work with 1700 races, and which tracks don't work with 1700 races. Now, the anecdotal evidence was that 1700 races for turnover and revenue aren't as good at Gloucester Park as 21. But the anecdotal evidence, which they're researching completely now, was that Pinjarra works better for 1700 than 2100 because of the sprint lane and all opportunities for horses on 1700. They back more horses there, no sprint lane Gloucester Park. Sprint lanes don't make any difference to turnover overall, and that's been tested as well. That hasn't improved turnover. But the reason why there might be a difference in 1700 at Pinjarra working is Pinjarra works with the sprint lane for 1700s. Gloucester Park 2100 races are better than 1700. So all these things should be analysed to work out where the revenue is best for the industry, all the way through to standing starts, where they work, where they don't work, every aspect of it, along with what you're talking about, the innovation of new ideas, 1200 races as well. All these things are being looked at currently to try and improve the bottom line, which we need to do.
Yeah, absolutely. We've waffled on a fair bit there, so we'll head to a break now. Just before we do, though, this segment was brought to us by Bayswater Mazda. Driving is better in a Bayswater Mazda, corner of Guildford and Garrett Road. Make sure you get out there if you do look to buy a new vehicle, as many people are at the end of the financial year. Now, we go to a break, and we'll go back to that crack race last week. Magnificent Storm did all the heavy lifting, but it was King Callan to come over the top with Ardent's Horizon.
And without the tar, Magnificent Storm has broken away around the turn from himself, Ardent's Horizon. Then without the tar, Magnificent Storm in front. Ardent's Horizon looking to cause the boil over. Ardent's Horizon has raced up, taken the lead from Magnificent Storm, and King Callan sends it home. Ardent's Horizon has won from Magnificent Storm third. I think without the...
You are listening to Talking Trots with Mortz and Michael Radley.
10 metres in front of Cyclone Charlotte. On the outside, Steno, American Armour battling on 18 Carat the inside. But Wonderful to Fly is a mile out in front of Cyclone Charlotte. 18 Carat, American Armour the outside. And Wonderful to Fly is absolutely bolted in, won by 15 metres. Second home, Cyclone Charlotte.
Wonderful to Fly hacked up last week in a Group 3. The Kerry Clark went her way. Another $29,000 rolls into the kitty, and with a view to the Eureka now, Glen, on her current form, she has to at least be competitive despite the quality of opposition she looks like facing up against.
Yeah, she's got to get a slot, of course, at this stage, but she'd be a candidate with the time she's running, and we'll get the preferential barrier draw. So you understand why Shane didn't go to Queensland with the transport issues. Always a problem getting to Queensland, but when you look at the calendar, the mares races that are available here, Mares Classic 150,000, Norman's Daughter 100,000 coming up in November, and 100,000 10th of November the Norm's Daughter, and the Mares Classic 150,000 24th of November. Shane would be looking at that as well to balance up which is the best way to go, because in her current form she's going to be very hard to beat. And also into the Nugget, I don't think she'd be afraid of going up against the boys at some stage either. In the Golden Nugget, 15th of December, $200,000 with 4-year-old lead-up races as well. She's if she can keep that form that she's currently in, she's going to be a danger to any horse here.
As I mentioned off the top, no bomber tonight, so we're going to run through these races at Gloucester Park. We'll start off in the first race in just a moment. Just before we do, though, this segment's brought to us by Retrovision. Save an extra 5% every day, RAC members, at Retrovision. If not, you can message Morts and I'm sure he'll hook you up. Despite him not being here tonight, he'll be able to do you a deal. First race at Gloucester Park tomorrow night is the Beau Rivage Christmas in July. They'll go 21.30, and here our Lily Lou's $5 off the pole. Hunt the Magic $6.50. I'll just run you through the ones under double digits. Seagrass is $9. Sporting Grace, pretty short, $2.80. Jackie Daniels off the back row is $6. How did you see this one turning out?
This is the toughest race of the night, and the interviews here will be very significant as to what some of the tactics will be. We've spoken to Junior. He's in two minds about it because there's a bit of speed underneath him there, including Seagrass, our Sandy Shore. The horse with a lot of ability, Hunt the Magic. Manners are the issue there. Ability is not the issue. And probably the logic is our Lily Lou's a leader on face value, and that puts Jackie Daniels in the best spot in the race, probably to be dangerous. What price was Jackie Daniels?
$6.
It's probably a reasonable bet, but it's got to get out. I think this race, for me, requires a lot more thought. Tomorrow morning in the preview, I'm sure we'll have differing opinions on that race.
I thought our Lily Lou would hold up. She was driven quite aggressively. That was over the 17.30 to lead a few starts ago. She was only narrowly touched off by Brulé. Her form since has been okay. She didn't get into the race 2 starts ago and then went to Narrogin. And it
was down in class at Narrogin, really, and the leader won, of course, which can happen.
But the race turned out exactly how our Lily Lou could not win. They were walking, so Mitch made the move, and then they started sprinting, so he was working while they were sprinting.
28, 1:29, and then very slow home. But that middle section...
That was the killer.
But, look, barrier 1, you have to consider it. But, I think it's a tough race. What are you favouring there off the top of your head?
Well, I actually went our Lily Lou, but I was expecting double figures. She's probably tight enough at $5.
Might get out.
Yeah, I thought Sweet Vivian would try to get up on speed, and then I didn't see too much pace in the race. They can't afford to overdo it. If there's any pressure, our Lily Lou won't be able to cop it.
No.
And if the breaks do come for Jackie Daniels, she'll win. But it's one of those races where they're likely to be cramped up. I can't see anything really breaking away, so it's going to be hard work for Jackie Daniels to get into the clear. So despite the barrier looking okay, it might turn out to be a trap.
Yeah, I'd expect Sporting Grace to drift a bit at that price for that draw.
Has to.
Our Lady Jen, and one that's been racing well in lesser company, looks to be returning to form. Mitch has chosen Sweet Vivian, but clearly be a long-term strategy with that move as well. She's got ability, and Fly to Fame's probably the form horse, but drawing the river. So, and between two thorns, Hayden will be hoping for improved performance. It's certainly capable of it. Not out of this race either at its best. It's a really tough race.
Yeah, she was just fair after that freshen up last Friday, 2 weeks ago, when she was behind Fly to Fame. Nothing she could really do, but she didn't work to the line excessively hard. Hunt the Magic is the one that's been building up this campaign, going quite well, but she can't be used up too much out of the gate for fear of her going off stride.
Yeah, that's the issue there.
She's already drawn in close. You don't want to see her get shuffled too far back. And as you mentioned, Fly to Fame is the horse that's probably going the best of any of them. When she was able to lead, she dominated last time out, but Barrier 9 deals a cruel blow.
Whoever gets the best run will probably be winning that race.
Race number 2 is the Beau Rivage Buffet Dining Pace. And here, number 1, The Watchmaker, is out to $11. Eaton Rock, $5. Rock on Top, $3. $6.50 Hoppy's Way. Watching Our Coin is $3.80. Goodfellas, $6. They're the ones under double figures. We talked about this race with Junior, and there are a few pace angles. I thought Eaton Rock would get past The Watchmaker early and then has the decision. Rock on Top will be there pressing in the early stages, and if there is the pressure coming from Hoppy's Way and Watching Our Coin that we anticipate, then Eaton Rock may have to relinquish the front to Rock on Top under that circumstance. However, Eaton Rock has done his best work in front in the past. First up, I thought he was just okay. He
sat the 1-1 and dropped out.
Yeah.
There was a bit of heat on out of the gate and everything, but he dropped into that position from a whitish draw pretty easily because of the galloping, might have time. And he sort of dropped into that position without doing too much work and didn't finish off, did he? So he'd want some improvement. Sitting 1-1 and dropping out, they ran 157 only over the 1700. That was a bit of a concerning situation, but of course you get to the fence and it's completely different. You've got the inform Rock on Top, which is run second to Vashani Girl, which is great form. Hoppy's Way, a classy type of horse. Whether it's ready, we don't know, but if it is ready, it could ping out an even lead here. It's a fast beginner. And Watching Our Coin, I think no matter what, Junior assesses pretty well. There's going to be a bit of heat on, and then he can pop to the breeze once they've settled. It'll be in the finish, I think. And Goodfellas, well, if they just go too hard, this will be flying home. That's a good race. Just again, the interviews, Kevin Keys' information to Shannon Savelko as to how forward Hoppy's Way is will be very significant. Once again, a very open race. It's got, what price was Goodfellas?
6, I think.
I think it was a good each way bet.
Yeah. Well, I don't think Hoppy's Way is as crucial as you're making out, in my opinion. I couldn't see him getting across Eaton Rock or Rock on Top. Even Beyond Blink's got pace, but I don't think they'll...
I could if he was 100% fair dinkum. It is first up. He may not be at that mindset.
Yeah.
I think he could if he was really confident that the horse was at his top. If he's not, then I agree with you. That wouldn't happen unless he was full-blooded. And he may not be full-blooded. He might be looking for the 1-1 on Watching Our Coin if Eaton Rock leads or Rock on Top leads. So he may come out just thinking I'll get the 1-1 Watching Our Coin outside the leader, Rock on Top possibly the leader. That could work out, and Shannon Savelko might take that opportunity, but if you get back, Hoppy's Way's a very fast beginner if they light it up.
I also went with Goodfellas. I could see him making that whizzing run that he's made his custom in recent times down the back straight where he makes up lengths hand over fist, and if they do run along, which it looks like they will, at least around that 30-second mark for the quarters, then he'll be whipping home, and he's going really well. He trialled up at Byford as well and broke the clock there at Byford, so he's in top form at the moment. Yeah, good each way bet, I think. Race number 3 is the Westrel Pace, and it goes at $6.28. Moonlight Drive is $4.40 off the pole. Mr. Fantastic is $1.95. $6 about Hillview Bondi and $8 about Flowwriter. The 2500 makes it interesting. Junior clearly very happy in the trial. If anybody looked at the trial would see that Mr. Fantastic trialled like he's going well enough. Very cool drive, I suppose you'd say. Mr. Fantastic just did it within himself, went really well. The issue here will be whether the one holds up and whether the one wants to hold the lead. I could sort of see a scenario where it could be behind the leader, the 2500. It'll be interesting as to what happens there, and the interviews will be significant, I think, with Madison Brown and the instructions from Michael Young. So I think if I was betting, I think I'd be waiting for those interviews in that situation, because you need to know that. If Mr. Fantastic's in the breeze and Moonlight leads and can dictate, be hard to beat, provided not too much pressure. Junior alluded to the fact if, for example, Hillview Bondi was there quick enough and he didn't get the lead, that he'd take the 1-1 perhaps, depending on how much work he's done and whether he's got a half to 3/4 in front and the one's resisted the lead, then Mr. Fantastic would probably give the breeze up, take the 1-1 then. This field drops away a little bit after that. Simply Shaz going well, Flowwriter going well as well, Smart Failure. There's a few in there, but they'll be requiring a lot of pressure on these leaders. I see the winner coming from 1 or 5. Yeah, I don't think Moonlight Drive would hand up under any circumstance if it was able to lead, but I can't see him leading, especially if Simply Shaz and Carrera Mac don't come out too hard. I think Alterette will cross
Quite a possibility.
Moonlight Drive, and under that circumstance, the scenario I put to Gary with Mr. Fantastic immediately getting up to Alterette and putting the pressure on. From what we saw of Alterette last time when Gary did drive the horse over the 2500, I think it might be in the best interest to take a sit under Mr. Fantastic.
When it didn't work, I agree with you, and you made a good point there. Alterette's another key significant part. What happens early, if it does cross over, I think put down your glasses, Mr. Fantastic would get the lead in that scenario.
Yeah, and from there he should be winning. The trial was good. Gary did have a little bit of trouble getting him back off the gate, so going forward he'll travel up attractively, you'd expect, in those early stages. Aside from those, I think if he leads, it's Mr. Fantastic's race to lose. Moonlight Drive's going really well, but his gate speed is just a real detriment to his
it was ability. A pretty quick... the Moonlight Drive, when it drew 1, they flew out the gate that night. I think, what was the horse, Faster Than Dad, was it? They got it?
No, not Faster Than Dad.
What was the horse when it drew 1?
Flow Rider?
Flow Rider, correct. They absolutely flew out that night. 155.5, lead time of 7.5. That was really quick to the corner. Moonlight Drive looked like he was going to hold, and Hayden would put real acid on it on that bend and just got it. But there was a bit on there. Moonlight Drive did show pretty good gate speed that night.
Yeah, it's got to be
Flow
interesting.
Ride's a quick beginner.
Yeah. Okay, that brings us to race number 4 on the card, and it's a small field for the Retrovision Pace. And here, number 1, Mighty Conqueror, is the $1.15 favourite. Patronus Star's the only one under any kind of serious resistance at $3.40.
Yeah, looks Mighty Conqueror's race to lose if he reproduces what he's been doing against our 2 best horses racing at the moment, particularly Shockwave Mighty Conqueror for sure, and very, very cheeky last start, 1700. Everything's perfect for Mighty Conqueror. He should be on the up, basically, and very, very hard to beat. The only danger would be Patronus Star.
And that would only come if he was able to outsprint him. Patronus Star has gone really well fresh in the past. When we saw him fresh toward the end of last year, he came from last and he blitzed home to get up and score. But Mighty Conqueror put that 26-7 quarter on the board last time out, so he's not lacking for speed and he should be able to lead all the way. Patronus Star probably run into second place. And then Babyface Adder can probably hold off Faster Than Dad for third. Long Reach Bay outclassed, but he's going to get the plum run.
Yeah, you'd think it'd be third and fourth would be up for grabs there between Babyface Adder, Faster Than Dad, depending on how it's sort of run and how patient they are. Basically, the rail's obviously the place to be, but if Long Reach Bay behind the leader, at some stage you're going to probably have to come off, so that'll be interesting.
Brings us to race number 5 on the program. It's the GPHR The Lewis, and it goes at $7.32. Number 1, Our Star Billing, is $8. She's a Bromac, $8. Ashani Girls, $2.20. Blaze Coops, $3.50. They're the ones under double figures.
Yeah, Shani Girl, I like her. It's just a tricky draw. The price, would you say $2.20, was it?
Yep.
And Blaze Coops around the $3.50 mark. Yeah, look, I did have a scenario where it's possible Blaze Coops, after they sort themselves out of the gate, could pull out. I'm not saying it'll just rush up behind She's a Bromac and pull out and get the lead, but once they've sorted their positions out, there'll be nothing that wants the breeze here that I can see anyway. So it can ping around, and it's a matter of, I'm assuming Our Star Billing leads. She's a Bromac's the other one. Certainly got the pace, Our Star Billing, to hold up. It's a matter of what Donald says in the parade ring. I think he'll want to lead initially and then work it out from there. And if he can dictate it, he'd probably want to stay in front. But if he cops pressure, say, from Blaze Coops or something else, he would probably have a look at it. But I think he'll want to hold She's Bromac Mistiano initially. The only horse I'd have coming around that I'd even consider sitting on is the Shani Girl or Blaze Coops, and Blaze Coops will probably have that first opportunity.
Well, I've got a different view then.
Yep.
I've got Miss Lamar pressing forward and potentially finding the front.
Okay, well, that's interesting, yeah.
because she's going really well, Miss Lamar. Going back a few runs ago when Mouse drove her at Pinjarra, she actually ran quite a creditable race. The mile rate was steady. And then although she was beaten a long way behind Wonderful to Fly, she got out and was beginning to hit the line strongly in that 154.3. And then last time out behind Wonderful to Fly, she was back in the pack and she was making a bit of stealthy progress late. I think if she got on top of Our Star Billing early and really put it to her, she could run to the front. She can win this race. She's in good form since resuming.
Yeah, last run was terrific. Sectional's very good. Its form's been very good all the way through. It could happen. I wouldn't rule it out. I mean, you seem confident that could happen. Voke's the type of driver you'd give that assignment to.
He can
that's
smell
for sure.
blood in the water.
He can smell blood. Donald, in this case, Our Star Billing, obviously rising in class. So it could be logical what you're saying. If he's the first to Our Star Billing, it could be possible this could happen.
Yeah.
But that's going to create a lot of pressure and lead time, which I think will suit Blaze Coops and Ashani Girl equally.
It's a real rising class for Our Star Billing. Went around in that less than 8 2 starts ago. Didn't break 2 minutes there and went around 40-1 when leading. Yep. When she led, it was a case of, well,
just dictated the race quite easily. Yep.
But she got a comfortable lead. So, and then last time out, never got into the race behind Blaze Coops. I think this is a real rising class, and I would put it this way: if I was driving Our Star Billing and Miss Lamar came staring me down, I'd be happy to sit.
Yeah, that's probably true. It's just a matter of whether Chris Lewis shares the same view and Denny Roberts shares the same view. And they may be in the middle to prevent that from happening. Mistiano, for mine, long-term, when we've ever seen it really used hard out of the gate, it doesn't go quite as good unless it hits the rail really quickly, and that it's a possibility the one hand's over, but I'm not sure that'll happen either. But if they think that it's too big a rising class for Our Star Billing and Chris Lewis thinks he can get the lead, well, it's got gate speed as well, hasn't it?
Yeah, Mistiano was the one I was thinking could press forward. She's a Bromac is there, but I think she's been going okay. She won in 158 for going back 3 starts ago, but she sort of had to win that race the way it turned out, and since then she's been okay. She couldn't hold the back of the stablemate there last time out, so Special Lady could also press forward from that wide gate, has a heap of gate speed, and that could add
Again, I don't think they'll use Special Lady from that draw.
You never know.
Well, you never know, but I don't think it's likely. Not with what you're talking about. Miss Lamar getting involved, and perhaps she's a Bromac trying to cross the one. They usually drive it aggressive, so I imagine they'll have a look, but I don't think Denny would go on with it.
No.
Donald's got the key there, and it'll be very interesting to see what he says tomorrow night. I think in the birdcage tomorrow night anyway with the interviews.
Yeah, okay. Well, that wraps up the first half of the program. We'll come back, take a look at the last 6 after this, but firstly we're going to go back to last week and we'll look at Mr. Smarty, that horse we touched on with Junior earlier on. They've got lofty ambitions for him. He came with big credentials and he was able to justify them with an appearance at Gloucester Park last Friday night.
Control around the turn. Mr. Smarty clear. Skylord's trying very hard. Hasn't given up the chase completely, but the leader got away. Crowd Control gets up on the inside and runs into second place quite nicely. In front, Mr. Smarty from Crowd Control and Skylord, and Mr. Smarty by 3.5 metres Crowd Control.
Talking Trots with Morts and Michael Radley on Tab Radio, Racing and Sport.
It's still clear. El Daytona's out wide. The Codebreaker, Mia Culpa, then Beat City and the Mustang. But in the straight, and Galactic Star has gone for home and broken away now from the Codebreaker, the Mustang and El Daytona. In front, Galactic Star from the Codebreaker, the Mustang and El Daytona. And Galactic Star has done it all the way. Galactic Star from the Codebreaker, the Mustang, 4th.
Yeah, it was pretty comfortable viewing there for Galactic Star. As soon as we got the information, emphasising the importance of the interviews that the Mustang was going back, then it became an almost uncontested lead for Galactic Star. He's got pretty good gate speed anyway, and he was able to lead on his ear, walked through a 1:11.2 lead time and then a 31. And the writing was on the wall.
Once you got that information, I think most punters jumped on board Galactic Star once they heard that.
Yeah, it was a really easy watch if you back the favourite Galactic Star. He really trimmed up there late in the piece as well. He was around that $4 mark 10 minutes out, and then he closed at $2.70. Good to see the old boy back in the winners list.
Absolutely.
Now we'll progress with this preview. This is the Nova 93.7 pace over the 21:30 race number 6. And this segment is brought to us by Steel Blue Boots. Made for work, built for comfort, made for work. And make sure you go and see your local Steel Blue stockist to warm up those cold toes. And it is pretty cold this week. It's been floating around that 0 degree mark. Nova 93.7 pace. Well, we talked about this race a little bit. Cavalry Call off the insides at big odds. Cowboys and Bandits 175. Make It Happen is $9. Alcipi's Delight 320. Run for Mercy is $8.
Yep. Cloud9, what was his price? I know he's drawn
20.
Yeah, he's drawn badly, but not without some chance if there's a lot of pressure on here. This is not a strong field comparatively. Cowboys and Bandits certainly gets his opportunity. We'll see what he's made of. There's a little query on Cowboys and Bandits, probably rising a little bit class here. And it's a horse that's always had potential. We're going to find out what he's made of. It's a good draw if he leads. I just had the feeling that Kyle Harper won't want to sit here, but did you share that thought? Cavalry Call?
It's interesting because if the pressure comes from Make It Happen and Alcipi's Delight, then Cowboys and Bandits might be able to use them as a bit of a blocker and get to the front. Otherwise, I think the early intention will be to at least come out and try to lead on Cavalry Call, but if the pressure becomes too much, then that might change the dynamic of the race.
Yeah, if he gets there straight away, it'd be very, very hard to beat. Again, the interview tomorrow night, significant. Kyle likes to lead. Cavalry Call's going okay. He's put in a couple of really good runs and one that wasn't so good, but generally the form's been very good. Peter Tilbrook likes his horses to lead. Kyle loves to lead. He's got the gut feeling that they might take that option.
And as I mentioned, Karuba immediately behind it.
Absolutely. And, the race then opens up, doesn't it? Cowboys and Bandits could quickly know it's not getting the lead if that happens and take the sit on Make It Happen, and then gives it a great run anyway. And Junior's sort of leaning to being a bit more conservative, maybe Alcipi's. I'm not 100% sure.
I don't know.
Yeah, Michael Young might tell him to press the button. We don't know.
Yeah, well, we saw that with Let It Linger on Tuesday.
Yep, and worked. What a winning move that was. So you look, that's up in the air as well. Run for Mercy's the consistent performer, knocking on the door all the time, and it's racing really well. Cloud9, I wouldn't think's out of this race if they go up tempo. Even a horse like Medieval Man, going down in class significantly here, and is capable of a boil over here. Level 13 horse dropping back and capable of doing a bit of work if they go hard early and can sort of join in as well. I wouldn't rule it out either. Plenty of chances here in a very tough race.
You've only mentioned one of my two. I've got two in this race at a price.
Yep.
One of my old favourites, Disco Under Fire. I just keep falling for this horse, but he is going well. He was picking up some late headway last time, and I thought, he's only gone okay. But then I looked at the sectionals, and he's still got home in 28.3, 28.9.
Yep.
All his runs before that have been good enough, and he was 50-1, so he's worth something. And Medieval Man was 50-1 as well. He's going really well. I was pretty surprised the market didn't get a hold of him because his numerical form's good behind High Price, My Prayer, and then he was not beaten far behind Classic Choice last time out, and he can press right through on the back of Cowboys and Bandits early if that's the option they do elect to take. So they were the two at a big price that I was enthusiastic about. And the reason I was particularly enthused by Disco Under Fire was the aspect that he finally might get that chance to actually trail a horse into the race. He hasn't had anyone take him into the race, but Cloud9 has been the bit of a bullocker in recent times that has pressed up 3 wide, no cover, and he could immediately latch onto that horse's back, and that might be the winning move. Yeah,
I agree. I think it's a race you need to look at the value here. I don't think they'll be tumbling into the shorts, Cowboys and Bandits, which, if it finds the front straight away, hard to beat. But if it's odds on and it's 1 out and 2 back, then all of a sudden you'd be a bit nervous about it all. But I'll be interested to see how this unfolds. It's a race that you could try and find a bit of value. I mentioned Medieval Man. You did as well. Disco Under Fire, definitely a knockout. Cloud9. Those type of horses are capable of winning this race.
Race number 7 on the card is the Direct Trades Supply Standing Start Pace over the 25.03, goes at 8.35. Number 1, Verano, is 3.20. Peter Petrify is 2.35. Carabeo, number 3, is $9. And Arden's Horizon, the Giant Killer, is $3.60.
Yeah, Peter Petrify's going really well, isn't it? A very, very good win on the stand, chasing that speed that Callan Savelko set. and that was a blistering stand. I think the time was 1:58.4, which is pretty quick. That's to start off 20 metres, 2,631. Skippy's Delight put the writing on the wall for Narrogin, and just got there at Narrogin, but the writing was on the wall that it would be winning. And to run a lead time in 77.4 at Pinjarra is very, very fast over 2,631 metres. And Peter Petrify had to make up the 20 metres, of course, and chase that horse down, and was hanging down a touch as well, and did the big job to get over it, I thought. And rarely do they run those times and stands at Pinjarra over 2,600.
Yeah, it's an interesting front line. Verano, I wouldn't say is the most efficient beginner, but he gets out well.
Yep.
And that might be enough to hold Peter Petrify, who has had 7 standing starts. Only one of those has been in WA, and that was his most recent one, where he was pretty scratchily away, took a few steps to get going. So that might rule him out of crossing Verano. If he begins like that, he will. And Carabeo has been just fair at his last couple at Gloucester Park. One night he sort of galloped out for a couple of strides. Then at Pinjarra he was fair, and then at Northam he began with them. He's drawn outside of the 3, which does give him the chance to maybe get out slightly better than them, because you do get that little bit of a run-up. But he also had that opportunity at Northam, and he couldn't beat out Bricky's Dream, Ardent's Horizon, and that was the race. At Narrogin last time out, he was the run of the race, but he was expected to win. So $1.08 biting the dust is never the kind of form line you want to see heading into a Friday night race. So assessing all of that, I thought Verano would probably lead. Peter Petrify, he's got the option to go behind him if that's how it does eventuate. Awaiting instructions was super last week. This horse has come back in blinding touch for Matty Scott. He could not have gone any better than finishing 8 metres behind Ardent's Horizon in that fast 1:58.9 mile rate. And I thought he could run into the top 3-4.
Yeah, it's going really well.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a shock if he won. Put it this way, it's nearly a field job in the quaddie for me.
You could make a case for every runner. If the race was run in a certain way, Evans, Ardent's Horizon, who beat Magnificent Storm, we shouldn't forget, has won its last 3, and all of those performances have been very impressive. And last start it did charge to the line. It wasn't like it did a bit of work in the run before it handed over. Top class drive by Callan, and then pushed out and still went over the top, running very quick time, 1:58.9 quick, 2,500 we know. But even the 20 metres here, not insurpassable if things worked out for Ardent's Horizon.
Absolutely not. Race number 8 is the Tab Radio condition pace. 9 o'clock start time over the 21:30. Number 1 himself is 1:36 and Finvara's 2:35.
Yeah, looks the winner, doesn't it? Himself had the flat tyre last week, was right on that pace, which was relentless in terms of it just never let up. And the flat tyre got him. He wasn't going to win, I don't think. I think he'd done a little bit too much, but after that run's third up tomorrow night, I think he should be cherry ripe, hard to beat. Finvara's obviously got the class, but it's difficult to chase these horses down. You'd expect himself at the short price to be very hard to beat.
I think he would have run 3rd last week himself,
yep.
not 5th.
Flat tyre, it makes a huge difference to when a horse is getting a touch tired. That doesn't help.
He has got his share of gate speed, so he should do enough to lead. Finvara will likely have to come from the tail, and it's going to be hard work. I think he's probably the faster of the 2 horses. Himself can grind out a couple of quarters, but Finvara can zip for a couple of hundred metres.
It's only a 4-horse field too, Hayden, which with Pradasan out, he's going to be close enough, but it's still hard to pick them up because generally there's not enough pressure mid-race in these situations, so the leader can dictate the moment Finvara puts his head out there. Danny will be off, but she'll have Waterborough on her back, and it's going to get the perfect crack opportunity, but you'd imagine himself will do enough to win.
Yeah, as soon as Finvara makes the move, Denny will be tapping away vigorously on the rump, and it'll make it very hard for him. So, yeah, it probably looks 1-5. I'd probably go 4 ahead of 3.
Yeah, the 3's going to get that slipstream perfect run, won't have to pull out. So
yeah, so
that'll help.
That reason it could run 3rd, but yeah, that's probably the battle. Race number 9 on the program's the Beau Rivage West Side 2-year-old Colts and Gelding's Pace. And number 1 is Hot Rockefeller, and it's around that $4 mark. Just waiting for the market to update here on my computer. It's being very slow. And it is $4. Number 1, Hot Rockefeller. Number 2, Chief Copy is $4.40. Rocks the World, $9. Allwards Chevron, $2.50. Star of the Galaxy, $7.50. And You Been Thunderstruck is $7.50.
Any money for the one, Hot Rockefeller?
No, nothing's changed yet.
Okay, it's just a barrier one. There's been a bit of money for it in a couple of its runs, interestingly enough, and it's yet to find the fence and lead, so it's possible Kyle Symington driving it could be the leader. That seems to be the inference, and interesting runner, even though being a touch plain, but you could sort of understand watching those races why when you look at the draws here. And when you're looking at these horses, they haven't run real fast time. So that is an issue. Like we've got Peter Anderson on tomorrow to give us a rundown on his horses in these West Side races, just to give us a bit of an idea of the pecking order in his mind. He knows them like the back of his hand. And so we'll dig into that tomorrow morning. Allwood Chevron, I think, did enough to suggest first up that it's going to be an improver. Donald Harper's horse led and won easily. Again, they didn't run great times, but showed very good gate speed. He's won. Star of Galaxy is probably a class dropper. Barrier draw, though, not good. This is a Chief Copy, a definite class dropper. Just misbehaved at the gate recently, which was to its detriment, but if it behaved itself, I think it could be hard to beat Chief Copy, and I'm sure he'll be pressing for the lead. It's a matter of whether Kyle Symington's got the will to and can hold the lead, and Allwood Chevron I think will be pretty aggressive too with Shannon. So I'm sort of leaning to the 2 or the 4.
Yeah, I've put the 2 on top as well. I think he's the best horse in this race, Chief Copy. If he gets the front, he should win.
Very unlucky in that big race 3 starts back when he bolted up behind them, and it all tightened up on him. He couldn't get the run when he was, I think he ran 8th.
Behind Bet the House.
Bet the House in the Champagne Classic. To me, he was going to win. The run just closed up on him. It would have been a shock, but he was travelling that well. It looked as if he was going to win. He's a little bit intractable sometimes with his manners.
Well, he's hung in at the start point a couple of times. Last time it was really significant when he bumped into that horse drawn to his inside, and he went off stride, drifted back through the field, and then nothing went right. He got held up, dragged back, and he still hit the line okay.
I think on ability, if he does things right, could be hard to beat. I went looking for gear changes with him.
Yeah, I did as well.
Yeah. But
actually took some gear off. Like a couple of things.
But they took the Dolly Varden's on, put the European blinkers on, head check fixed off. Now, whether they think he's too tight on the head check might be something to do with it and turns his head. That could be why they're doing that. It'd be interesting, but there's no pole or burr rein or anything like that.
That's what I was looking for.
Yeah,
I was thinking they probably would attach the pole, but they didn't.
No, they might think the head check is the reason.
Sometimes they attach the head check and the pole in unison, though. We see that with Peter Petrify tomorrow night.
It'll be interesting to see what goes on there. But, I went looking because I do fancy it a bit if it does things right.
Yeah, it's just Hot Rockefeller holds the key to the race. I think he can lead. He did look pretty uncomfortable there last time on the home turn when he was pulled out at Pinjarra, so he goes from the normal spreaders to the one-legged spreaders. I'm not sure what kind of a difference that makes entirely, but he does have the option. As I said, if I think Chief Copy can find the front, he should be winning, but there's also going to be the pressure from Allwood Chevron pressing forward at the start, so there could be a little bit happening. Chief Copy just needs a little bit of luck, though, and I think he is probably the best horse in the race. My Hard Copy's progeny, the ill-fated My Hard Copy,
they're
actually going well. He's got a couple in the race we're about to talk about after as well.
Hayden had one that was going well earlier in the season before it sort of trained off a bit as well. So, they did a bit of a job with limited numbers.
And you being thunderstruck because the horse that vanquished Allwood Chevron there at Kellerberrin, but it did just turn into a walk and a sprint. So
it did, yeah. Showed the good gate speed. I expected to come out pretty fast here, given that gate speed.
The other one under double figures is Star of the Galaxy, who had his chance there at Northam. He got off the back of the leader and onto the back on the back foot at the right time, but
your horse did all the work and still won comfortably.
Any inroads. Race number 10 on the card is the Beau Rivage West Side 2-year-old fillies Pace, and this one goes at $9.50. We talked to Junior about Decla Diva. It's $3.20 off the pole. Copy of Paris. Another one of these My Heart copies at $4.20. I Cross My Heart at $2.70. The second for Terry Atkins. $3.50 about Mania.
Yeah, very interesting. Lucky. Decla Diva, obviously, last run, went pretty good, loomed up, hanging down. We referred to it with Junior, spoke about it. It's got the pole here, so it might be able to go straight. And if it does lead, I expect it to be an improver. So, yeah, look, what price was it, Decladiva?
320.
Yeah,
Yep.
and the 2 and the 3?
440 and 270.
Okay, yeah, Cross My Heart was the one that probably struck me maybe as the better of the two.
Yeah, I think it's the best horse in the race.
Yep, and then you got Mania as the experienced Mania. That probably better off set up here, and it will be set up here by the looks of it.
You sure?
Not 100%, but it caught pressure last start, obviously, and had no hope of winning. The two fancies there took each other out probably with that lead time. But, yeah, look, I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure that Junior can probably hold up here.
Yeah, it looks like it's got a bit of speed, Decladiva, so probably do enough to lead. Copy of Paris can jump in behind. Did an okay job there at Pinjarra, got the gap. It was a little bit belated, the gap. She did have to check her momentum slightly, so she hit the line well enough to be only beaten 2.5 metres. I Cross My Heart was very good when closing off in second behind Rock and Roll
Quick
Train.
quarter that day too.
Yeah, home in 27.4, yeah. And has been put away last 2.5 months. Comes back for this rich $30,000 race. So hopefully a long-term aim for Terry Atkins can pay dividends here. And then Mania, who battled on quite okay considering the early work she did. Often these 2-year-old fillies can crack when they have to survive that amount of pressure. So to be only beaten 7.5 metres was a fair enough effort.
Well, she's got the experience in grounding now, hasn't she, Mania? So that's one thing in her favour, experience. And I don't know what he'll do early. It'll be interesting to see whether he pushes the button. I've sort of, from that draw, maybe not. Small enough field for Chris Folk to work it out anyway. And it'll be interesting to see what he does.
Race number 11 is the West Australian pace, 21.30 at 10.25. The Codebreaker comes up with the pole 165, the Mustang 350, Mea Culpa $8, Beat City $8, Blitz and Buy $6.
Yeah, Codebreaker gets his opportunity here. Mustang right behind the leader. Blitz and Buy is always the interesting one. I like this horse a lot. Brilliant drive last start and got the money. It'd be interesting to see what tactics they adopt here again. But you'd have to probably lead to Codebreaker at the barrier.
I think they have to go forward on Blitz and Buy, especially with, you would anticipate the Mustang's going to drop in behind, and then Mea Culpa unlikely to get involved because he's a long shot of crossing the Codebreaker, and then Beat City's going to go straight back. So Blitz and Buy could have that shot coming down the outside. It's the only way he can win the race if he does lead, I think.
Might have a crack. What's the prices there?
Blitz and Buy is $6.
Yep.
But I do think the Codebreaker will hold up. He can get a bit keen when he is tested early. He settled okay last time. In fact, it was almost the opposite. He was quite indolent out in front, and he had to be goaded along by Mitch Miller. So providing he settles okay from the lead, he does look the most likely winner. He's in good enough form to be taking this out.
Yeah, looks that way. Blitz and Buy is the fly in the ointment, perhaps, but we'll learn more tomorrow night. It might be one of those decisions Shannon makes at the gate, but usually drives this horse with a bit of aggression and uses its gate speed. It'll be interesting.
And if Blitz and Buy doesn't cross, he's going to be marooned out there in the breeze. Would he drag back or just sit there?
Well,
I don't think anything else would come off the pegs.
It's a small field. So
I think everything else would just stay pegged, so he'd be the only one there. So
it's a small field, so if he doesn't work early, he could drop back, I suppose, and it's no big deal. But because you're never going to be that far from the leader with a field of 6 horses, so it's probably worth a punt early and then see what happens.
Yeah, I think it's another one of those races we saw last week. Could be 1, 2, 3, 4, straight down the page.
Possible, yep.
All right, we got to the end of it. 11 in total.
Hopefully we tune in tomorrow morning and we get the views of everybody. Peter Anderson on board, and we might you've thrown up some curly ones tonight that we take into consideration, and by tomorrow morning might have some answers.
Yeah, well, hopefully. The most interesting ones are probably Eaton Rock, and the one I'm most intrigued about is Hot Rockefeller. I guess Alterette's pretty important as well.
Yep, for sure. And just some left field ones like you mentioned with
the Miss
Mouse's
Lamar
horse, Miss Lamar.
Yeah.
That is an important one as well. And Cavalry Call, another important one. There's a few very significant ones. not just to the winner, but the way you work out the novelties with the speed maps, very significant indeed. Like if Cavalry Call handed to Cowboys and Bandits.
It should win.
Yes, and then you can work the novelties out based on. That's where there's a bit of money for the punters, a bit of value at the Trots, plenty of value in the novelties at Gloucester Park or any track basically if you get the novelties right.
And even more purpose to tune into the Trots WA interviews tomorrow night.
Definitely, be looking forward to it.
There at GP. Okay, as we go to the break, we'll go back to last week again, and it was a reasonably straightforward success for Prince of Pleasure, but Finvara got a bit closer than he had.
Just behind them as Jetstar drops off next quarter in 28. Prince of Pleasure in front of Finvara. On the outside, Tenzing, Bromack and Waterbro coming through it on the inside. Nicely clear Prince of Pleasure from Finvara. Tenzing, Bromack and Waterbro. Prince of Pleasure's in front, hanging on. And Prince of Pleasure is won by a metre to Finvara. And it's a Hall Quinella.
You are listening to Talking Trots with Mortz and Michael Radley.
Down the outside, starting to run on now. Around them is Tommy Carter, and letting go is El Waddell as well. Rock Artist, Major Overs still at it. El Waddell's right down the outside, and Mar Beecham as well as running on. Major Overs fights hard. Here's El Waddell at 100 to 1. El Waddell has raced up, taken the lead, and El Waddell at a crazy price tonight has won. El Waddell beat the fast finishing Mar Beecham.
Yeah, he went around at $557 Betfair SP or something, El Waddell.
Yeah.
After he went around at $2.40 the week before.
The world was on him.
Yeah. And then on Tuesday, no one was on.
No.
And he sprung a real shock. Well, I guess it wasn't the biggest shock because he didn't go that badly the week before.
The way the race was run clearly changed everything. But
the 26.8 cooked everyone early.
Yeah, but wasn't it a big price in running? There's always a chance after that.
Yeah. So that was Tuesday, and it was a good field. A couple of those horses will be feeling the pinch coming back off spells or finding their feet this campaign. So we'll see how they go in the coming weeks. But that was a nice little race for the 3-year-olds there on Tuesday at Gloucester Park. Got some nice fields again over the coming days. We've got no country trots across Friday, Saturday, Sunday, so we get a chance to catch our breath. And then Monday we go to Pinjarra, 12:07, early start time there. And last at 4:25, and then Gloucester Park on Tuesday. 9 races on the card, gets underway at 5:20 right through until 9:10. First race, particularly at Gloucester Park, is interesting because we've got a few newcomers. Artful Major trialled up well, and then we've got the preeminent 2-year-old Wave Rider who smacked them into oblivion. The last time we saw him, he won a $100,000 race by 25 metres. So he's clearly got a heap of potential, and his stablemate, He's a Vibe, who picked up a couple of races as well earlier in the year.
Yeah, looking forward to that race on Tuesday. Wave Rider back, very, very promising horse. And as you said, a couple in there that create some interest as well.
Yeah, so we'll look forward to those. And that horse, Shell Patch, that Junior touched on earlier, that'll be winning. Race 7, number 8. Won't be any great price.
No, there's a bit of value the other day, but nothing worked out, put it that way.
This segment, by the way, brought to us by Loans 123. Contact Steve Sell for any loans you require. And, well, we've agreed on most things tomorrow night, so we'll both be heading there together or hopefully not at all.
Yeah, you did a good job last Friday, Hayden, on Sky 1. Terrific. And parted all the information to the punters and analysed it really well. Well done on that, and we're looking forward to tomorrow night. And join us for the Gloucester Park preview tomorrow morning, and the boys will get together and see what we can suss out.
So have you got just Pete or?
No, just Peter Anderson tomorrow morning because there's 11 races, so we're just going with one interview. And, of course, we'll have the panel there. Trent's still away. Richie will join with Matt Young, of course, and Tim Walker, and then we'll try and work out some bets for the punters tomorrow.
I'm sure Matty Young will be out there at Gloucester Park as well doing the Sky, and
I'd imagine
Michael
he would be
Hayden
tomorrow night,
down in the backyard. So make sure you tune in. Hope you have a great weekend. Thanks for tuning in to Talking Trots. We'll catch you again next week.
Cheers.